I'm obviously the chief of a poor mountain village. Villagers drink muddy water and walk on dirt roads. It's so poor that even mice leave here crying. But recently, I've done three crazy things. Spent 5 million to install a national-level water purification system for the entire village. Now they drink tap water sweeter than bottled water. Poured 50 million into building a quantum agriculture park. Patrol the fields with drones. Grow fruits that sell as luxury goods. I dug up over 1 billion that showed up in my account. Signed a big check. Built an agricultural carrier for the village. Cruised thousands of acres of farmland in our artificial sea. Villagers are calling me dad with tears. But my rural revitalization system keeps going off nonstop. Every cent I spend on the village earns me up to 10,000 times cashback based on the fame score. But just when I was about to plow fields with the carrier, the town mayor kicked my door open with his people. Xiaoming, you're just a poor village chief. Where did all this money come from? You're suspected of having unidentified huge assets. Come with us. I tossed my phone in front of him, smiled and said, I'm just spending my own money, supplying water, paving roads, and building a carrier for my own village. Do you have a problem with that? The mayor looked at the phone, seeing the 10-digit balance displayed on the screen, and went straight to his knees. Before all this, Hope Village was a place even stray dogs would shake their heads at. The mountains were barren and poor. Water shortage aside, there was even environmental pollution. Villagers drank muddy water. The rusty taste of polluted water mixed with a muddy smell. After drinking it for 3 days, I was hospitalized with a stomach infection. But the villagers drank it for half their lives, each looking sallow and pale, with yellow teeth, and even yellow eyes. The only industry in the village was a failing distillery. Calling it a distillery, it was really just a couple of leaky, rundown workshops, plus a central well. But the liquor brewed from this well did carry an indescribable richness, holding generations' worth of memories. Then today, the town mayor Wang Dafu sent his lackey Ma Liu over, trying to take over the distillery for 30,000. 30,000. I stood in front of the poorly shut wooden door of the village committee, watching Ma Liu sitting with his legs crossed in my chair, spinning that letter of intent on his fingertips. As if flipping a piece of trash. Chief Xiao, Ma Liu shook his leg, looking annoyed. Give me a straight answer. You have to sign this today. Sign it or assign it. Mayor Wang's patience is limited. I looked at him and didn't say anything, not because I was scared, but because a burst of inspiration just struck me. Rural revitalization system activated. Host detected. Chief of Hope Village. Binding successful. Core rule. Every cent the host invests in the village will receive up to 10,000 times cashback, based on fame score. Current fame score, 100. Villagers currently think you're useless, but at least you're better than hundreds of millions of others. Calling me useless. System, that's not very polite of you. But I got the rules instantly. Spend money, get fame. And use cashback to keep spending. The problem was, where would I get the money? I searched my pockets. Found 3 coins, $1.50. The system was silent. So was I. Ma Liu saw me silent and thought I'd been scared stupid. He started shaking his leg impatiently. Chief Xiao, stop dawdling. Sign it already. My time is valuable. I smiled, picked up the thin letter of intent, and under Ma Liu's stunned gaze, tore it in half slowly and calmly, then into quarters, and finally crumpled it up and tossed it into the trash can nearby. Ma Liu suddenly stood up, pointed at me. What do you think you're doing? Xiaoming, don't push it, get lost. I said just one word, before they could say anything. You really dare order me around? Believe it or not, I'll tell Mayor Wang, and your poverty relief food will be cut off tomorrow. Ma Liu got so mad his face turned red, blue veins popping out on his neck, like a toad whose tail's been stepped on. I ignored him, took out my old smartphone, with a cracked screen taped together with clear tape, and dialed a number. Hello, is this the town procurement office? Hope Village Lighting. The voice on the other end sounded lazy, like he just woke up. Chief Xiao? What's up? Ma Liu crossed his arms, with a look like he was about to watch a show. He wanted to see what tricks this poor chief could pull off. Our village needs to order some supplies. My voice was as calm as dead water. Full village piping for tap water, everything included, including household connections. And throw in an industrial-grade water purification system. I want it done in 3 days. The other end was silent for a full 5 seconds, then burst out laughing. Chief Xiao, did you just wake up or what? Do you even know how much this stuff costs? Not just in your village. Even the town would need a report for this, and half a year to get it approved. Ma Liu laughed along, face full of mockery. Dream on. Xiaoming, you must have lost your mind from being so broke. How are you going to pay? With all those potatoes your village can't sell? Completely tuning out his noise, I kept talking to the guy on the phone. All right, name your price. Give me a quote. Materials, labor, equipment, everything together. No way you get it for less than 1 million. You got it? The voice was full of sarcasm. Send me the account number. What? I said. Send your procurement department's company account to this phone number. I repeated myself. The guy mumbled something about crazy, but still sent the account number over. Probably wanted to see how this farce would end. Ma Liu looked at the text with me, laughing even more. Keep pretending. Have you even seen what 1 million looks like? I said nothing. Opened the mobile banking app, and the next second my pupils contracted sharply. A brand new balance appeared on the screen, making my heartbeat skip a beat. Available balance, 10 million. The 10 million was a transfer from the system. Just now, the moment I tore up the letter of intent, the system had automatically earned me some startup funds. I took a deep breath, entered the account number, amount, 1 million.
Hit confirm.
Entered the password, transfer successful. Almost instantly, both Ma Liu and the guy from the procurement office received payment notifications on their phones. It was dead silent on the other end. The smile froze on Ma Liu's face. He grabbed my phone, staring at the transaction success page. The payee's name, account, and that glaring digit 1, followed by 6 zeros.
Every zero made his eyes sting.
This is impossible. How do you have so much money? Ma Liu's voice was trembling. I took back my own phone, stood up and walked in front of Ma Liu. Now take your worthless papers and get out of my office. I reached out and grabbed Ma Liu by the collar. Like picking up a chick, I dragged him to the door, then gave him a shove out. Bang, the office door slammed shut. The whole world went quiet. Almost the same second the door closed, the system's voice sounded in my mind again. Host detected. Hope Village Livelihood Project. 100,000 yuan spent. Star index slightly increased. 100x rebate triggered. Congratulations, host. You've earned a rebate of almost 10 million yuan. Funds have been deposited to your personal account. Please check your balance. I opened my mobile banking app again, refreshed my personal account. The number in the available balance section jumped wildly. Finally settled on 109 million. 109 million. Looking at that blinding number in my account, the whole world suddenly felt unreal. 100 million, is that just a day in the life of the rich? Just yesterday, I was still furious that the villagers didn't have clean water. Today I'm a billionaire. It feels like you toss a coin in the wishing well, and it spits out a mansion. I didn't even have time to process this windfall. When my phone rang, it was the town's procurement department. The voice on the other end had turned from lazy to fawning. Village Chief Xiao, we've received the money. 1 million, my God. You really kept this hidden, didn't you? We've already contacted the construction team. We guarantee it'll be canceled in 3 days. I cut him off. The person on the other end was stumped. Canceled, Chief Xiao? You must be kidding, right? The money has already arrived. The specs are too low. Thinking too small. I leaned back in the creaky wooden chair and spoke slowly. A 1 million yuan project isn't good enough for Hope Village's future. We can't compromise on water quality. I already had a new plan brewing in my head. If we're doing this, let's go all out. A little sympathy is nothing compared to a big pile of cash. Our villagers deserve the best. So, you mean... I didn't answer. Just hung up. Dialed another number. This was the number I just got. For the water company's project manager. The call connected. A sharp, capable voice answered. Hello? Hi, who is this? Hope, Village Lighting. I got straight to the point. Did your company take on a 1 million yuan project recently? Oh, Chief Zhao. That's right, we're about to send a team over. The manager was really enthusiastic. That project is cancelled. He paused on the other end. Cancelled, Chief Xiao? What's going on here? Didn't we already get the payment? I want to upgrade. I didn't even give him time to react. The village's entire drinking water system. Upgrade it to national level purification standards. And also, install an intelligent water recycling system. Recycle and reuse all wastewater. Budget, 5 million. Completion deadline, 24 hours. A deathly silence loomed on the other end. 5 million for a tiny village. A full 10 seconds passed. The manager finally spoke in a tone like, "Are you messing with me?" Chief Xiao, 5 million. 24 hours. This isn't even about the money. It would take the entire province's resources and workforce. And still couldn't be done in 24 hours. I'll wire you a 2 million yuan deposit right now. My voice was completely calm. If you can do it, you get the job. If not, I'll find someone else. Give me your account number. The manager was shaken by my no-nonsense attitude. He blurted out a company account number instinctively. I opened my mobile banking app and looked at that balance of over 100 million. Didn't feel a thing. Almost wanted to laugh, really. Tapped my finger. 2 million sent out. Transfer successful. Almost at the exact same time. The manager let out a strange yelp over the phone. It's in! 2 million deposited instantly. His voice was trembling. All that sharpness and capability had vanished. Only joy and shock remained. Rest assured, Mr. Zhao. Forget 24 hours. I'll get it done for you in 12. I'll give you my personal guarantee right now. I'll call up every construction crew in the whole province for you. Dig 3 feet into the ground. And I'll still get every pipe laid for you. Hung up the phone. The world felt quiet again. It feels great to be rich. In less than an hour, the news had spread across Hope Village. Have you heard? Chief Zhao is spending 5 million to put in water pipes for us. 5 million? Are you out of your mind? Didn't they say 1 million just yesterday? For real, a Juzi's cousin heard it in town. Chief Zhao thought 1 million was too cheap. Wants to give us the very best. Villagers crowded under the big pagoda tree at the village entrance, chattering non-stop. Their faces said they couldn't believe it. But in their eyes, a spark was ignited. Right then, several black sins kicked up dust and sped into the village. A sudden break and they stopped at the village committee office. Car doors swung open. The town mayor, Wang Dafu, squeezed his huge frame out of the car. A few men with stern expressions followed him out. Men who clearly weren't to be messed with. Bang! The village office door was kicked open. Zhao Ming, Wang Dafu's booming voice was like, "A broken gong! Get out here now!" I was just browsing my phone for what to buy next, and didn't even lift my head at the noise. Wang Dafu barged in with the committee people. He pointed at me and started cursing. "Good for you, Zhao Ming. You've got some nerve. Embezzling public funds? That's a crime." A bespectacled party official pushed his glasses up and spoke coldly. "Comrade Zhao Ming, we received a tip-off that you're suspected of embezzling a huge amount of public money for impractical vanity projects. Please come with us immediately for an investigation." I finally set down my phone, looked up, and stared at this group of self-righteous guys, like I was watching a bad play. I even started laughing. Embezzling public funds? What public funds did I embezzle? Was it the pitiful aid money the town gave to our village? Or the whopping 30,000 you tried to buy our brewery with? Wang Dafu's face turned purple with rage. "Quit making excuses. Where did you get the money to fund the 5 million yuan project? Don't think we don't know. You're just a pauper. If this money isn't public funds, what is it? Who told you I spent public funds? Let me ask you, if it isn't public funds, is it your own money? Do you have 5 million? If you had 5 million, I'll call you dad right here and now, Wang Dafu." Wang Dafu slapped the table and shouted. I didn't say anything. I calmly unlocked my phone, opened that green banking app, then turned the screen toward Wang Dafu. A string of digits on the screen, glowing with a deadly allure in the dim office. Available balance, 107 million over 100 million and 7 million. Wang Dafu's shout abruptly stopped. The muscles on his face twitched uncontrollably. His eyes bulged like brass bells. stared hard at those numbers. The other township committee officials crowded around. When they saw the string of digits and counted how many zeros there were, their collective breathing stopped. 100 million and 7 million. The village head of this rundown village has over 100 million in his personal account? Is the world crazy or are we? This can't be real. Wang Dafyu's voice was raspy like sandpaper. It must be Photoshop. Fake. I put my phone away. Right in front of them, I tapped the refresh button. The numbers didn't budge. I opened the transaction history. That transfer of 2 million just now was clearly displayed at the top. The entire office was left with only Wang Dafyu's heavy breathing. I leaned back in my chair again, folded my hands in front of me, calmly looked at the township chief who had totally lost it. I spend my own money on my own villagers, building basic infrastructure in my own village. I paused and asked, word by word, do you have a problem with that? Wang Dafyu's face turned pale, then green, looking as miserable as a squashed eggplant. The township committee officials who had been so aggressive now stayed far away from me, afraid to catch any bad luck. One of the officials pushed up his glasses. Investigation's over. Looks like it was a misunderstanding. Maybe you need to reflect on how you do grassroots work. Misunderstanding. Wang Dafyu's chin was trembling. A misunderstanding worth over 100 million. He wanted to roar, but couldn't make a sound. He could feel the official's gaze on him. That look was no longer scrutinizing. It was like staring at garbage about to be thrown out. He staggered out of the village office, utterly defeated. The sunlight made him squint, unable to open his eyes. His steps faltered. His fat and skinny body fell hard in the dirt. With a dull thud, no one went to help him. The township committee convoy started their engines and left without a second thought, leaving him all alone. Abandoned in the land he tried to take. I withdrew my gaze from the window, feeling absolutely nothing inside. No pleasure from revenge. No pity either. Just thought the dust Wang Dafyu kicked up when he fell made the office a little dirty. Hadn't even been quiet for a few minutes when the ground began to shake. At first a low hum, like some giant beast rolling over underground. Villagers poked their heads out, looking uncertain and puzzled. One by one, they came out from their broken houses. What's going on? An earthquake? Someone whispered. Right then, the source of the shaking appeared at the village entrance. It wasn't just one vehicle, but a steel dragon so long you couldn't see the end, creeping along the narrow mountain road. Leading the convoy were 10 brand new excavators, their yellow paint gleaming in the sun. Behind them were bulldozers and rollers, and one heavy-duty truck after another carrying massive blue pipes. At the end of the convoy were dozens of white engineering survey vehicles and a black SUV. That looked totally out of place with the whole village. Dozens of heavy machines. Over 100 technicians in matching blue uniforms. This looked nothing like a plumbing repair. It was more like an infrastructure corps from some country, coming to build a military base here. The villagers were totally stunned. Their whispers faded away. Even the kids running wild stopped in their tracks, mouths agape, staring blankly at the breathtaking sight they'd never seen in their lives. Such powerful industrial force plunged the whole Hope village into silence. That black SUV did a stylish drift and parked perfectly in front of the village office. The door popped open. A man in a suit tumbled out, scrambling. It was the person who I spoke with on the phone earlier, Liu Zhenjun, the project manager from the water company. He was gripping a big red megaphone tightly. His face was bright red, not from the heat, but from excitement. He didn't even look at me. In 3 quick steps, climbed onto the hood of his SUV, raised the megaphone, and shouted at the stunned villagers with all his might. People of Hope Village, elders, friends, family. His voice was amplified 100-fold, echoing around the little mountain village. Liu Zhenjun, on behalf of the Provincial Water Supply Corporation, is here to offer a solemn apology today. Apology. The villagers looked at each other. For a moment their minds couldn't process. Our previous plan for 1 million was wrong. Short-sighted. Narrow-minded. A desecration of Hope Village's great future. Liu Zhenjun took a deep breath and shouted himself hoarse. It was your village head, the visionary and wise Xiaoming. Village head Zhao personally called me. He criticized me. He taught me. He told me, Our villagers in Hope Village deserve nothing but the best. With one hand.
He excitedly pointed to the steel torrent behind him.
So the project was fully upgraded. The budget wasn't 1 million, but 5 million. Hearing this number again, among the crowd, there was still an audible gasp of surprise they couldn't hold back. 5 million was a number they never even dared to imagine. We won't just lay pipelines. We're also going for the full set of national-grade water purification standards. Plus, we'll build an intelligent water circulation treatment system. And he intentionally paused for a moment, soaking in the attention of the entire crowd. Construction period, 24 hours. Everything will be finished in exactly 3 seconds. The whole place fell dead silent, the villagers' brains overloaded with all this information, leading to a collective shutdown. Suddenly, an old man leaning on a cane hurled his cane into the sky. That shout was like lighting a powder keg. Instantly, the driver was overwhelmed by a tsunami of cheers, shredding the silence to pieces. 5 million, did you hear that? 5 million? We're finally getting clean water. We finally have clean water to drink. People started jumping and hugging wildly. They cried tears of joy. Those women whose eyes were usually dull and lifeless were now smiling so hard tears and snot streamed down their faces. The usually silent men blushed with excitement, pounding their neighbors' shoulders hard. A young guy who hadn't gone out to work climbed up a big rock in excitement and shouted with all his strength, "Village Chief Zhao!" The crowd responded promptly and passionately. "Village Chief Zhao, you're awesome." And then suddenly someone changed the chant. It became something else, more primal, but also closer. "Zhao Dad. Zhao Dad." The cries merged into a torrent, making everyone's eardrums ache. The shouts echoed again and again through the barren mountains. In that moment, he wasn't just the village chief anymore, but became the reborn parent of everyone on this barren land. I leaned on the office doorframe, watching this scene before me. A celebration scene that felt like a giant cult initiation. It felt pretty absurd. "Dad, isn't your generation order a little mixed up here?" Right as the chance for Dad peaked, the cold mechanical voice came on as expected. "Hope detected. Villagers' morale has surged. Villager loyalty has fundamentally changed. Host investment, 2 million yuan. 100x cashback activated. Congratulations, host. You've received a cashback of 200 million yuan. Funds have been deposited into your personal account. Current account balance, 307 million. I glanced at the number on my phone. That's right. I felt oddly calm. The shock of sudden wealth faded quickly. Instead, I started to feel a strange emptiness. Money was just a number, just a tool. The real fun was using this tool to do things no one else would dare. I put my phone away and walked toward Liu Gyunjun, who was still waving his arms on top of the car, soaking up the villagers' cheers. The crowd parted automatically, making way for me. I walked up to the SUV and greeted him. Manager Liu Zhenjun snapped out of his daze. Almost tumbling off the roof of the car, he scrambled down awkwardly, his face plastered with a humble, reverent smile. He couldn't help but hunch forward a little. "Zhao, Chief Zhao, Village Chief Zhao. What are your orders? Are they being too loud? I'll quiet them down right away." I ignored him and just jerked my chin, signaling him to look at the village's only main road. It was a dirt road eaten away by years and rain, rutted and bumpy. On sunny days, covered in dust. On rainy days, all mud. I turned my gaze back to Liu Zhanzun's face. "That road is an eyesore. Your company handles road repairs too, right?" Liu Zhanzun's bow went to a perfect 90-degree angle, his smile squishing his features together. "Boss Zhao, you want a road fixed?" "No problem. Fixing the road is nothing. We could even build you a track to the moon if you wanted. Our company will lay the foundation for you. You never have to worry about money with us. Our office, our company being able to serve someone like you. It's truly our honor."
I thought this guy's sense of duty is higher than our receptionist's.
Just as I was about to say something, a piercing brake screech sounded at the village entrance again. It was the same familiar black sedans, but this time from the lead car, a much fatter figure stepped out. Wang Dafu, he actually came back. And he wasn't alone this time. Behind him, a few people in uniform followed, badges on their chests reading Environmental Protection and Urban Planning. Xiaoming, Wang Dafu has learned his lesson this time. He didn't charge up right away anymore. Instead, he started screaming from more than 10 meters away. You've gone too far. Who gave you the right to start such big construction in the village? Do you know the rules and regulations or not? Are you even aware of what ecological protection is? A man in gold-rimmed glasses stepped forward, clearing his throat. We are the joint investigation team sent from the city. Comrade Xiaoming, your disorganized construction work has already caused severe damage to the local environment and represents a major safety risk. We have the right to stop all your projects immediately and strip you of your position as village chief. I didn't even look at them. These guys were just like the little mobs in a video game, appearing on schedule to offer experience points. Annoying as they are, there are still procedures to follow. I turned, walked into the village committee office, and grabbed the big red megaphone. I gave it a few practice taps and tested the buzzing current. Then I hit the power switch. Attention all Hope Village villagers and cadres. An emergency village meeting will take place now. Everyone gather in front of the village committee office immediately. My booming voice drowned out Wang Dafu's rants. As soon as the villagers heard my call, it was like they'd heard a rally signal. They rushed out from every corner, quickly gathering on the open ground before the office. The blankness was gone from their eyes, replaced by a kind of fervent trust. Wang Dafu and the investigators were a bit taken aback by the scene, stunned by the show of force. Xiaoming, are you trying to incite the villagers to go against the investigation? I'm telling you, it won't work. Wang Dafu shouted, blustering but nervous. I handed the megaphone to a young villager next to me and climbed onto a makeshift stage, which was actually just a few large flat stones. I glanced over the mass of people there, faces both simple and passionate. Today I'm making an announcement. The whole crowd fell instantly silent. From today on, I, Xiaoming, in my own name, will acquire all collective assets of Hope Village outright. That includes the use rights to every inch of land you're standing on. And the nearly bankrupt distillery. The villagers froze for a second, then erupted in even louder cheers. Sell it to Village Chief Zhao. That's the same as giving it to ourselves. On that basis, I'll inject capital and create Hope Group. All villagers will automatically become employees of the group, enjoying full benefits and insurance. Base salaries will double. The cheers nearly lifted off the sky. Wang Dafu's face turned completely green. He finally understood what I was about to do. This is ripping out the foundation, making him the mayor, completely powerless. Wishful thinking. That man with the gold-rimmed glasses finally found his lines. He pushed up his glasses, his face full of mockery. Acquiring collective assets. Do you know how big of a deal this is? It needs approval from city and provincial authorities. You think it's like buying vegetables at the market? Wang Dafu also caught on, like grabbing at a lifeline. Yeah, even if you're dreaming, you still need our permission. The assets of this village. If it's not at least 1 billion, you can forget about taking it. When he said the billion figure, he felt a bit insecure himself. But seeing my young face, it gave him a bit more confidence. A naive kid, even if he has some money, he'll definitely be scared stiff by that number. 10 billion, the man with gold-rimmed glasses laughed. Mayor Wang is still too conservative. This involves changing land use, environmental assessments and historical culture, asset liquidation. Honestly, if it's not 2 billion, it's not even worth discussing. They echoed each other, as if they were certain they had me cornered. The villagers below also started whispering to each other. 2 billion. That number was way beyond their imagination. I laughed too. I just thought it was funny. What year is it anyway? Still playing these cheap tricks of raising prices on the spot. Looking at Wang Dafu's greedy and stupid face, my thoughts drifted back to that late night 2 days ago, right after I got the first 100 million rebate from the system, and kicked out that guy called Ma Liu. I sat alone in a shabby office, staring at that long string of zeros on my phone screen. There wasn't much excitement. What I was thinking was, how to turn this money into real power. I was very clear. People like Wang Dafu, local bullies, got humiliated today. Tomorrow he'll surely come back with bigger backers. Instead of waiting to be attacked, I'd rather strike first. I don't have so-called connections, but I have something stronger than connections. Money. I opened my phone's browser, typed in a few keywords, most expensive, toughest in the country. Law firms that guarantee wins in lawsuits. The first search result was a website for a firm called Tianheng Law Firm. The slogan was outrageously bold. We don't pursue justice. We only make sure our clients win. Meow, that's a perfect match. I directly called the number on the website, that 24-hour VIP hotline. On the other end of the call came a polite yet distant male voice. Hello, Tianheng Law Firm. How may I help you? I need your best team to acquire a village and clean up a few annoying flies along the way. I got straight to the point. The other side went silent for 2 seconds, seemed to be judging whether this was a prank. On the phone, sir. Our service. Enough with the nonsense. Just name your price. I cut him off. I need your team to fly to our city immediately, on standby at all times. Also, help me dig up everything about Mayor Wang Dafu and the city's planning and environmental protection departments. Anyone who does business with our village. Investigate them inside out. The voice on the other end became somewhat playful. Sir, the kind of urgent customized service you need. Just the startup funds will require 10 million. He probably hoped that number would scare me off. Give me your account, what? I said send me your company's account number. 10 million, right? I'll transfer it to you right now. The other party fell silent again. This time, the silence lasted even longer. After a few seconds, I received a text message with a corporate account number attached. I didn't hesitate. I immediately transferred 10 million yuan. Almost the moment the transfer succeeded, the person on the other end of the phone's voice changed completely. All the previous alienation vanished. There was only the utmost professionalism and respect left. Mr. Zhao, the funds have been received. I'm your exclusive legal advisor, Lin Wan. My team will arrive in your city within 3 hours. We'll be there soon. As for the people you just mentioned, we guarantee that before noon tomorrow, we'll gather every piece of evidence of their illegal and corrupt activities, from birth to now, and compile them into a dossier. It will be delivered to the location you specify. My thoughts returned to reality. I looked at Wang Dafu, who was still ranting. I said nothing. I simply snapped my fingers toward the back of the crowd. Someone brought over a stool for me to sit down. Stop the nonsense. A crisp snapping sound. The crowd automatically parted, forming a pathway. 5 impeccably dressed individuals, men and women with perfectly groomed hair, walked in. They were carrying identical black briefcases. Their steps were steady. Their eyes were sharp. They looked completely out of place with the village's setting. The first in line was a woman wearing silver-rimmed glasses. She walked up to the stage. She gave me a slight bow. Mr. Zhao, we've prepared what you requested. Then, she turned to face Wang Dafu and the man with the gold-rimmed glasses. I'm the chief partner of Tianheng Law Firm. My name is Lin Wan. These are my colleagues. He opened his briefcase and took out a thick stack of documents. He handed them out to Wang Dafu and each member of the investigation team. Mr. Wang Dafu, these are documents detailing your suspected embezzlement and misappropriation of targeted poverty alleviation funds, totaling 12.47 million yuan over the past 5 years, including bank transfer records and sworn testimonies from relevant witnesses. Wang Dafu's face instantly turned pale. Lin Wan didn't pause. She picked up another file. Sir. She looked at the man with the gold-rimmed glasses. Director Zhang, right? Here's evidence of you soliciting bribes from multiple real estate developers, through hints and threats, and conducting improper approvals, which resulted in the encroachment of several green spaces in the city. Oh, by the way, the properties you've purchased overseas for your son seem to have questionable sources of funds as well. The man with the gold-rimmed glasses dropped his file on the ground with a slap.
His legs started to buckle.
And the rest of you? Lin Wan's gaze swept over the investigation team.
The others
were involved in maliciously acquiring the Hope Village homemade winery at low prices and planning to appropriate state assets. Here is a recording of the meeting. We have a complete backup. The entire scene fell eerily silent. Wang Dafu and everyone he brought had faces that went from pale to ashen. They stared at the documents in their hands, as if the black and white words were death warrants. Now, let's talk about the acquisition. Lin Wan took out the final document from her briefcase and gently placed it in front of Wang Dafu. Hope Village Collective Asset Zero Price Transfer Agreement. He adjusted his glasses. Given your serious violations, Mr. Zhao has decided to give you a chance sign it. We can temporarily refrain from submitting this evidence. You can leave Hope Village with dignity. Take your bedroll and go home to farm. His voice wasn't loud, but every word hit Wang Dafu and the others hard in the heart. Of course, you can choose not to sign. Lin Wan's lips curled into a cold smile. Our firm's criminal litigation department hasn't had such an interesting case in a long time. I believe they'll be more than happy to secure life imprisonment or worse for each of you. Wang Dafu started trembling violently. Sweat soaked through his shirt. He looked at the word cemetery on the agreement, feeling a humiliation greater than any he'd ever experienced. But he didn't dare refuse to sign. His hand shook as he picked up the pen, and he signed his name on the agreement. The others moved forward like walking corpses, each signing their names as well. After signing, they didn't dare look at me again. They scrambled to their cars, making a hasty escape. Ding Host detected with full control over Hope Village. Village ownership transfer completed. Reputation and star index sharply increased. Congratulations, Host. System shop basic permissions unlocked. I watched those cars disappear at the end of the mountain road. I felt absolutely nothing inside. I picked up the loudspeaker, facing the villagers on stage again. The troublemakers have been dealt with. I paused. My voice echoed throughout the entire valley via the loudspeaker.
Now,
I'm announcing several internal personnel appointments for the Hope Group. All current village officials' salaries will be doubled. But starting tomorrow, we'll implement performance evaluations. Competence will be rewarded, incompetence will be dismissed. No freeloaders in the group. The village officials were momentarily stunned, then erupted in joy. I looked at them and finally said, "Pay attention. From today on, in Hope Village, I am the rule." The next day, as the first rays of dawn just pierced the mist over Hope Village, a deep and powerful humming sound replaced the usual crowing of roosters and barking of dogs in the village. All the villagers were awakened from their sleep. That was the sound of the water pump starting. It was the sound of Hope, the engineering team from the water utility company. These men, fueled by cash and military-grade motivation, were like steel warriors on adrenaline. They didn't sleep all night, and in just 24 hours, created a miracle in small-scale infrastructure history. Brand new pipelines were extended to each rundown home in the village. I stood in front of the village committee plaza, with the main valve shining with metallic luster behind me. The entire village was present, backs hunched. Elderly who've spent a lifetime carrying water from mountain streams. Children with snot still on their faces. Women who usually have blank stares, now clenching their fists tightly. Women. They spontaneously formed a huge semicircle, placing me and the valve right at the center. There was no commotion in the air, just rapid breathing. They simply watched the valve, watched me standing in front of the valve, their eyes filled with decades-suppressed longing and a hint of nervous disbelief. Is this really not a dream? I didn't give any stirring speech. I felt that in the face of facts, any words seemed powerless. I reached out, grabbed the valve wheel, and under the breathless gaze of the whole village, slowly turned it with force. A click, the sound of the valve opening, was magnified infinitely in the extreme quiet. 1 second, 2 seconds. Nothing happened. A subtle stir spread through the crowd. That spark that had just been ignited seemed like it might be snuffed out by the wind. Just then, in the yard of some family, a piercing scream came first. "There's water now!" That scream was like an order. Right after that, shouts erupted from every corner of the village. "We have water at home too." Thank God. Some light, some heavier. Next to the village committee, on a newly installed public faucet, a clear stream of water gushed out with a splash, splattering a sparkling spray on the ground. An elderly woman who has carried mountain spring water her whole life, her back already bent like a ball, trembled her way out of the crowd. She walked up to the faucet. She reached out her hands, rough and calloused like tree bark. The icy spring water washed over the lines in her palms. Her cloudy old eyes stared fixedly at the stream for a full half-minute. Then she carefully scooped up a handful of water in her palm, raised it to her mouth and took a gentle sip. Sweet, without the slightest taste of silt. She opened her mouth, A dry, raspy sound escaped her throat. Finally, 2 lines of tears that had built up over a lifetime broke free. Clean water for us. In my lifetime, I finally had clean water to drink. She burst into tears. That one cry directly moved every villager. Wow, a middle-aged man lost control. He crouched down and started sobbing too. There's water. Let's go home and look. We have it at home too. Thank God. Countless villagers raced home like crazy, twisted open their own brand new shining faucets. When clean water poured out from the faucet nonstop, the whole Hope village erupted in excitement. The men burst out laughing. The women wept tears of joy. The children kicked off their shoes, chasing and playing in the safe clean water. Their laughter was like silver bells. You could no longer hear any fear of muddy ponds in those laughs. The entire Hope village was immersed in happiness and sheer ecstasy that felt almost miraculous. Looking at everything before me, all of a sudden I felt that the numbers I'd chased for over 20 years, on financial markets, those candlestick charts, all that so-called success, felt so empty compared to this moment. This is what it really feels like to be alive. Right now, in front of my eyes, was only my own system screen that only I could see, starting to refresh at a manic pace. Ding! Epic surge in villagers' happiness and sense of belonging detected. Ding! Fame index has reached a critical level. Ding! Host completed the drink from the source milestone achievement. Achievement reward merit rebate. Rebate multiplier permanently increased to 150 times. 150 times. That's not bad. Next time I spend, I'll get even more bang for my buck. Host spent 5 million yuan to improve the villagers' basic living conditions. 150x merit rebate has activated. Congratulations, host has received 750 million yuan rebate. My phone vibrated. The screen lit up. A bank SMS notification. Current account balance, 1.054 billion. I swiped open my phone, double-checked the numbers, then calmly locked the screen. Alright, looks like the budget for the village's broken road is covered. I'm actually considering whether I should go ahead and switch the streetlights to solar as well. Ding. Congratulations, host has received a special reward. Area water resource purification deployed. Even more rewards. I looked at the muddy pond not far away. That was right where I first arrived here, and saw the children gathered, scooping water. Green algae floated on the surface, mixed with who knows what kind of debris, giving off a faint, fishy smell. I silently thought to myself, activate area water resource purification. A barely noticeable ripple spread outward from the center of the puddle. The puddle didn't instantly become clear to the bottom, but the green algae floating on the surface seemed to dissolve into something, gradually fading and disappearing. The turbidity of the water visibly decreased. Although it's still undrinkable, at least it's not as disgusting anymore. Looks like this system reward is actually pretty useful. I can upgrade the environment around the village. All over again. I'm planning my next round of spending, totally unaware that this miracle of infrastructure in Hope Village has already spread its wings and flown out of the mountains. It's the office of the chief engineer of the Water Resources Bureau. Qian Lixing, a man nearly 60, with meticulously combed hair and an old expert wearing reading glasses, was holding a red pen, reviewing a dam safety evaluation report. The office door was knocked, quiet. A young technician poked his head in, his face filled with barely contained excitement. Chief Engineer Qian, big news? Huge news. Qian Lixing frowned and set down his pen. What's all the fuss about? Be steady. Hope Village. That poverty-stricken village that Wang Zun used to manage. They finished construction in 24 hours. A supply system meeting national water purification standards. What? Qian Lixing thought he'd misheard. Which village? Hope Village. Qian Lixing was stunned. Just days ago, Wang Dafu, black and blue-faced, came to him for drinks to complain. Said he'd been set up by some young village chief who showed up out of nowhere. That the village was dirt poor. How could it possibly happen in 24 hours? National standards? Qian Lixing sneered and picked up his pen again. Jolly, did you get fooled by some rumor? You believe such nonsense? This is engineering, not mythology. Typical over-the-border showmanship. Just seeking attention. No, Chief Engineer Qian. Zhao Li was anxious. It's manager Liu Jianjun from the Provincial Water Company. He personally led the team. He just posted a video in his social circle. Engineers from all over the province got sent there. It was a huge deal. He said, the water quality test results are better than our city's tap water first-level supply standards. Even better. What nonsense. Qian Lixing slammed his pen on the desk. He and Wang Dafu were college classmates. They were close friends. He saw Wang Dafu's embarrassment and felt angry for him. He'd been stewing in anger for a while. Now this village chief named Zhao Ming pulled off another ridiculous stunt. It's no longer just an engineering issue. It's provocation. It's slapping him. The face of the city's water resources head. Better than our city water plant's standard. What does he think national standards are? Does he think water purification is just boiling water? Qian Lixing stood up and paced in his office.
Classic shoddy construction.
A show just for appearances. Major safety hazards. This is irresponsible for the villagers' lives. The more he spoke, the angrier he got. Zhao Li, prepare a car immediately. Gather the water quality testing center. All experts from the engineering safety section. Go to Hope Village with me. Zhao Li was startled. Chief Engineer Qian, we'll leave right now. Yes, right now. Potential type. A flash of green gleamed behind his lenses. I want to personally investigate and hold them accountable. I want to see for myself if that provincial manager Liu really lost his mind. 24 hours, national level. More like a national level joke. I will expose this scam in front of the entire village. Unravel it layer by layer. The City Water Bureau's execution is swift. The convoy soon drove aggressively into Qingyuan County. Qian Lixing sat in the back seat, eyes closed resting. But his tightly knit brows revealed his mood. Absurd, unbelievable nonsense. He's worked 40 years. Never heard of such a thing. 24-hour, national level standard. And in some godforsaken poor village. If this were true, his chief engineer title might as well be fed to a dog. The car turned onto the dirt road leading to Hope Village. Violent jolts woke Qian Lixing from his light nap. He opened his eyes, staring at the dust flying outside the window and the barren scenery roadside.
His disgust grew even stronger.
This kind of place doesn't even have a proper road. Why would he believe it could produce water cleaner than downtown? I already got the message. I've gathered villagers at the entrance, eagerly waiting. Of course, this wasn't a welcome. It was a formation. I wanted the chief engineer, from the second he entered Hope Village, to be under the spotlight. Several cars with official plates stopped. Qian Lixing led a group dressed in lab coats, armed with all kinds of precision instruments. He didn't even look at the smiling villagers, just glanced down at the dust on his immaculately polished shoes. Chief Engineer Qian, thanks for your hard work. I walked up to greet him. You see, the villagers heard that experts from the city were coming to guide the work, and all came out to welcome you. Qian Lixing just snorted and walked past me straight into the village. His gaze swept the area. Brand new pipes and villagers. The dazzling excitement on their faces only fueled his anger. Where is Village Chief Xiao Ming's office? His tone wasn't so much a question as a command. This way, Chief Engineer Qian, have a cup of tea and rest your feet first. I kept a fake smile guiding him to the village office. Inside the office, I personally brewed Qian Lixing a cup of tea, using the best tea leaves the village could find. Big leafy tea. The tea turned out quite dark, yet still had a grassy taste. Qian Lixing picked up the cup, took one look, then set it down. No urge to even touch it to his lips.
He leaned back in his chair,
fingers tapping on the desk, staring through the window, fixing his gaze on the new pipeline outside. It's a mockery, just nonsense. He finally spoke, not loud, but filled with undeniable authority. A village-level project. Who gave you the nerve to boast about national standards? If a safety incident occurs, who's responsible? You, just a small village chief who can't even brew proper tea. I was about to explain. These tea leaves really are the best the village has. But Qian Lixing didn't give me any chance. He waved his hand, interrupting. I'm not here for your excuses. All right, I got it. The smile on my face vanished in an instant without a trace. I originally thought he was just arrogant. Now it looks like he's here purely to cause trouble. I greeted him with a friendly smile, served him tea and water. The only thing I didn't do was massage his feet. Yet, he wouldn't even give me the most basic respect. Since you're not polite, I don't need to play nice with you either. Kian Lixing noticed I wasn't saying anything. He thought he had intimidated me with his presence. So he stood up and commanded his team waiting outside the door. Don't waste any more time. Start sampling the water immediately. Run the full test. Check every single indicator for me. TDS, bacteria count, heavy metals content. Don't miss a single one. He then turned toward me and reached out his hand and asked for your construction drawings. I want to personally review them. He had already made up his mind. Today, he was going to expose this so-called miracle for what it really was. Let everyone see. It's nothing but a flawed vanity project. I didn't move, just calmly watched him with my arms crossed. Chief Engineer Kian, are you sure? Kian Lixing's movements paused. I'm afraid that face you're so proud of won't have anywhere to hide soon. I added, you called me potential type.
He reacted like his tail was stepped on.
Even his tone changed. Are you threatening me? He had lived almost 60 years, and this was the first time a low-level staffer spoke to him like this. I ignored him, just called outside the door. A Juicy. Go get the set of drawings, Manager Liu left. Let Chief Kian see for himself. The testing work started immediately. The experts split into teams. Some collected samples at the main valve. Some randomly entered villagers' homes. Others directly compared the parameters on the construction drawings and began discussing them in the office with the potential type staff. The whole Hope village was eerily quiet except for the low hum of the instruments. So quiet it was scary. Villagers spontaneously gathered at a distance, watching all of this nervously. Kian Lixing, holding the construction blueprint that's bigger than his office desk. The more he looked, the deeper he frowned. The design concept of these drawings, material standards and engineering process. There was just too much he didn't understand. Smart pressurizing, zoned flow control, terminal circulation self-cleaning. Suddenly it hit him. This system. He had seen it before in German industry journals. Concept model. How could they possibly? No way, it has to be smoke and mirrors. Half an hour later, the first technician responsible for on-site rapid testing, a young tech, burst in holding a tablet. His face was pale as a sheet. His hands were shaking like someone with Parkinson's. He ran right up to Kian Lixing.
His lips trembled.
Couldn't speak for half a minute. What's the result? Speak.
Kian Lixing urged him impatiently.
Chief Engineer Kian, the technician stammered. His voice was shaking. The water quality. The TDS value is only 5. Turbidity is almost 0. Coliform count, 0. All the test indicators, all of them, are better than our city's tap water plant, meeting the highest level of supply standards. What? Kian Lixing snatched the tablet away, took off his reading glasses and put them back on, checked it repeatedly. The screen was filled with green excellent and standard labels. It was like getting slapped in the face repeatedly. Each hit landed harshly on his face. Just then, another elderly expert with white hair also rushed in holding a beaker. His face looked as if he'd just seen a ghost. Old Kian, quick. Come taste this, hurry. He handed the beaker to Kian Lixing. His face was flushed with excitement. This water quality is unbelievable. I've worked in water engineering my whole life, and I've never seen water this good. This is basically laboratory-grade pure water. He couldn't help himself, and got another glass straight from the faucet, drank it all in one go, then closed his eyes, and had an expression of pure enjoyment. This water is poisonous. The old expert opened his eyes,
His face exaggeratedly dramatic.
shouting suddenly. Everyone nearby was startled. Kian nearly jumped out of his seat. If something happened to someone, that would be a disaster. Yet, he couldn't hide a sliver of excitement. Isn't this exactly the leverage he wanted? But then the old expert's tension melted away, and he slowly said, addictive to drink. Kian's mind went blank in an instant. Completely stunned, his tablet almost slipped out of his hands. His 40 years of hard-earned expertise and authority, in this moment, were completely erased by this cup of pure water from a poor mountain village. utterly washed away. I don't know when I ended up at his side. Also took a glass straight from the faucet. Slowly took a sip. I looked at Kian, his face ashen, as if all his spirit was gone. I smiled and asked Chief Kian, "What do you think about our Hope Village's water supply? Should we stop it immediately for review? Or would you help us apply for a demonstration site for the city's premium water source protection zone? A model for protecting top-quality water sources in all of the city?" Kian Lixing's face turned purple with anger, color rising and fading in waves. Apply for a premium water source protection zone. Wouldn't that be like rubbing Kian Lixing's reputation and the whole City Water Bureau's authority in the dirt? Dragging the city's entire water system through the mud? He squeezed out demonstration site through gritted teeth, both as an insult and as a last bit of stubborn pride. Zhao Ming, don't get cocky. Just because the water quality is good doesn't mean your procedures are compliant. Good water quality isn't everything. Kian finally found a new point to attack. His voice shot up several octaves again. You did all this in just 24 hours. This is an engineering project, not a kid's game. Do you realize how many safety risks are involved? Did you do pressure testing on the pipeline joints? Where's the geological subsidence assessment report? What about the pump unit's liability filing? Do you have any of that? No, then this is a textbook case of illegal construction. I can stop your project right now, shut down your water source, and make your $5 million go down the drain. He was truly forced into a corner. No more attacking the person. So instead he went after procedural flaws relentlessly. The other experts looked at each other. No one dared to speak. They knew in their hearts Chief Kian was just being deliberately difficult now. For major livelihood projects like this, there are always special exceptions. It's common to build first, paperwork later, especially since this was personally funded by Zhao Ming, with not a single cent of public money involved. I looked at him and found the whole thing a little funny. It's as if you've already won a game, and your opponent starts reporting you for improper usernames, can't accept losing and tries to make up an official-sounding excuse. So what you're saying, Chief Kian, is that village residents drinking water cleaner than what people get in the city is somehow my fault? That's not what I meant. Kian Lixing raised his voice. I'm saying your process has major issues. This is a violation of procedures and puts the entire village's safety at risk. What if the pipes burst and the village floods? Who's responsible then? What if equipment malfunctions and someone gets electrocuted? Who's responsible if someone dies? I'm telling you, Zhao Ming, starting now, this water supply system must be shut down immediately and subjected to at least a month of thorough safety checks, conducted by our Water Bureau's safety team, a comprehensive investigation. Before you get a compliance certificate, no one is allowed to use the system. As soon as he finished, the villagers watching outside the office exploded in protest. Why are you shutting down our clean water just as we finally got it? How is that fair? Who even is this old guy? He really can't stand to see us doing well, right? Rules are rules. Kian Lixing shouted sternly, but his confidence was shaky. No order, no peace. He didn't care how the villagers reacted. He just wanted to use the rules as a weapon, to wreck everything I'd just put together, tear it all to pieces. He can't control your money, but he can control your project. Before I could speak, the roar of a car engine grew louder outside. A black SUV came roaring up to the village committee office, came to a screeching halt. The car door opened, and Liu Zhenjun, project manager from the provincial water company, jumped out. He was beaming with joy, carrying a fancy fruit basket, clearly here to curry favor. President Zhao. Liu Zhenjun hadn't even reached the door yet, and started enthusiastically, on behalf of the company, I came especially to thank you for giving us this opportunity to make a miracle, and to discuss road construction while we're at it. But before he finished, he spotted Kian Lixing as soon as he entered the office. He froze on the spot. Wait, that's the chief engineer from the Water Bureau. How is he here? Liu Zhenjun's mind raced. Then he got it Hope Village made such a splash. He must be here to inspect and commend the project. To be fair, their response was awfully fast. Then his smile grew even brighter. He quickly strode forward, both hands outstretched. Chief Kian, couldn't believe you came in person. Look at this, just look. President Zhao's decisiveness, getting water supplied in just 24 hours, and water quality straight to the top. This is honestly a miracle of Yangzhou City's infrastructure. A benchmark project to promote citywide. Liu Zhanjun was heaping on the praise, until the atmosphere in the office turned unbelievably awkward. Qian's face had gone from purple with rage to almost black. Benchmark project. Infrastructure miracle. Are you rubbing salt in my wounds on purpose?
He could barely hold it together.
This manager Liu really is something. The type who bursts into a huge argument just to ask if it's started yet. Textbook case of inappropriate timing. Manager Liu, the show-off, right? Qian's reply was squeezed out through clenched teeth. Did you just call this a benchmark project? Absolutely. Liu Zhanjun was completely oblivious to the tension. Chief Qian, you're the expert. Look at this water quality, this efficiency. It's all thanks to President Zhao's forward thinking and hands-on leadership. Honestly, in all my years in this industry, I've never seen anyone with the vision President Zhao has, or someone who cares so much about the people. A true client's best friend. Party a big boss. Qian Lixing laughed angrily. I think they are lawless criminals. Liu Zhanjun, let me ask you, did you report for a construction permit for this project? Did our Water Conservancy Bureau approve the safety assessment? Do you still have any respect for the law? Do you still care about rules and regulations? The smile on Liu Zhanjun's face instantly froze. He's not an idiot. Hearing those words, something feels off.
He turned to look at Qian Lixing, whose face was ashen.
Then he looked at me completely calm, with even a hint of a smirk at the corner of my mouth as if watching a show. A thought exploded in his mind. So it turns out, this chief engineer isn't here to sing praises. He's here to stir up trouble. Former chief engineer Liu Zhanjun slowly straightened his back. The smile vanished from his face. Are you saying we need to shut down this project? That's not my idea. Those are the rules. Qian Lixing pointed to the network of pipes outside. Until all the paperwork is complete and the safety review passes, this water supply system is an illegal structure. It must be shut. Liu Zhanjun fell silent. He stared at Qian Lixing, at that face written all over with bureaucracy and arrogance. A surge of rage shot up, from the solace of his feet all the way to the top of his head. He suddenly stepped forward, standing between Qian Li, Xing and me, directly facing Qian Lixing. Chief Engineer Qian, do you know the moment I entered this village, saw this poor village, and saw that everyone had clean water, how happy I was? His voice wasn't loud, but everyone in the office heard it clearly. Seeing those old ladies and children, the smiles on their faces, are smiles I've never seen in my whole life. All of this is thanks to Village Chief Xiao. He truly cares for his villagers, even willing to pay out of his own pocket, spare no expense to take care of everything in the village. That's what a people's village chief should be. A true public servant. The more Liu Zhanjun spoke, the more emotional he became. He pointed at Qian Lixing's nose. And you, Qian Lixing, sitting in your office in the air conditioning, drinking fancy tea. You can't see the hardship of the villagers. Now that they finally have clean water, you come running out here to talk procedures and rules with me. Your rules, are they to help the people live better, or just to show off that little bit of power you have? That's enough. Qian Lixing was shaking with anger. Enough? Liu Zhanjun let out a cold laugh. I think it's your thinking that's seriously problematic. People like you, out of touch with the masses, opposing for the sake of opposing classic bureaucratic style. I will write a full report about this and send it directly to the provincial company's disciplinary committee and copy it to the City Discipline Inspection Commission. Let a special investigation team look into it thoroughly to see if Chief Engineer Qian has truly been serving the people all these years or just making things harder for them. Qian Lixing's body suddenly reeled. He looked at Liu Zhanjun, who was righteously angry. He never expected the other side would directly bring up the provincial company and city commission. He's just the chief engineer of the City Water Bureau. In terms of hierarchy, he's nowhere near the provincial water company's level. If this really gets reported, he won't be able to handle the consequences. He looked at Liu Zhanjun's now cold face, then glanced at me, who had barely spoken from beginning to end. Suddenly, he felt like a clown. He had lost completely and utterly. He couldn't stay there any longer. Under the villagers' contemptuous stares, he said nothing, turned around and left. The two experts he'd brought along hurriedly packed up their equipment as well and followed him out of Hope Village in disgrace. The office finally quieted down. Liu Jianjun straightened his suit and regained his shrewd businessman demeanor. He walked up to me and reverted to his humble posture. His previous excitement and anger had subsided, replaced by a genuine sense of admiration. "Mr. Zhao, please excuse my behavior." I waved my hand, indicating that he shouldn't worry about it.
This favor,
"I'll remember it." Liu Jianjun rubbed his hands together, carefully placing the fruit basket on the table. Then he cautiously began to speak. Mr. Zhao." "Oh no." "Village Chief Zhao, regarding the road construction you mentioned last time, when shall we start?" I glanced at the fruit basket. The colorful fruits inside were probably more expensive than a cow in the village. This manager Liu is truly something else. He just finished dealing with the city's chief engineer for me and immediately transitioned to discussing business. His emotional shifts were faster than a face-changing act. I didn't reply. I simply stood up and walked out of the office. Liu Jianjun was stunned for a moment and quickly followed. He thought I was going for a site inspection and was already calculating how to give a fair price and throwing some extra green belts to keep this benevolent god of wealth happy. I walked all the way to the village entrance and stopped. I pointed to the road beneath my feet. It was a potholed, rutted road washed out by rain. A muddy dirt road so narrow that cars couldn't even pass each other at its tightest points. On sunny days, when a car passed, the dust it kicked up could make you choke all day. On rainy days, standing water and mud could swallow half a tire. Liu Jianjun looked at the road and got a clear idea. With this road condition, building a standard village-level road would be the maximum. 3 to 5 million would be enough. Mr. Zhao is generous with his money. If I doubled it and gave him a 10 million budget, he could turn this road into the county's scenic boulevard. I wasn't looking at the road. I was looking at Liu Jianjun. "Manager Liu, water is the village's blood. I've mentioned this point before." Liu Jianjun immediately nodded profusely. You did. Mr. Zhao, you are truly far-sighted. That metaphor is simply textbook-level brilliant." The corner of my mouth twitched. Manager Liu's flattery truly made me want to laugh. I continued, speaking in a profound tone. "This is a skill I honed when I used to paint grand visions for my billionaire clients, a talent I cultivated. And roads are the village's arteries." Liu Jianjun unconsciously straightened his body. "If the arteries are blocked, no matter how good the blood is, it will only circulate in place, and sooner or later become stagnant." These words hit Liu Jianjun hard. He had been in engineering his whole life, built countless roads. It was the first time he heard someone elevate a village road to such a strategic height of life and death. He looked at my profile. In this moment, he felt that the young man before him wasn't some nouveau rich upstart, but a chess master orchestrating the world. I didn't pay attention to what scenarios Liu Jianjun was fantasizing about. I turned around, pointing to the distant, already barren land. "Do you see that land? I'm going to build a smart agricultural ecological park there." "Smart agricultural park?" Liu Jianjun repeated. He had heard the term before, but always thought it was something you only see on TV news reports.
exactly.
I started to intensify my explanation. What we're going to plant in the future will require constant temperature and humidity, and high-value agricultural products with full cold chain transportation. These are agricultural products that can make the entire village rich. For every villager, every vegetable, every potato will be worth a fortune. Liu Jianjun's mouth was slightly agape. "Do you think we can let crops worth a fortune rot on this last mile of muddy road?" I retorted, and Liu Jianjun shook his head violently. He understood. Village Chief Xiao wasn't building roads just to improve living conditions, but to pave a runway for future golden carriages. Vision, that's the damn vision. I looked at Liu Jianjun's brainwashed expression and nodded in satisfaction. I cleared my throat. "So, my requirements for this road are very simple." Liu Jianjun immediately pulled out his phone, opened his notepad, looking reverent as if ready to record an imperial decree. "Budget, 50 million. Theft." Liu Jianjun almost dropped his phone. He suspected his ears were malfunctioning. "How much?" 50 million. I repeated. as if I were saying 5,000 yuan to build a 10-kilometer-long smart highway. Liu Jianjun's brain completely froze. 50 million for 10 kilometers? That's an average of 5 million per kilometer. Are we building a road or paving it with gold bars? I ignored his shock and continued listing my demands. The roadbed standard must exceed that of national highways. Compact the foundation thoroughly. I want this road to remain undeformed for 100 years. Second, don't use ordinary asphalt for the road surface. Use special noise-reducing, permeable asphalt. There must be no standing water on rainy days. Third, install a complete snow-melting electric heating grid beneath the entire road surface. I don't want to see any ice or snow on my road surface in winter. Fourth, all streetlights must be solar-powered smart streetlights, equipped with surveillance and environmental sensors. Fifth, and most importantly, the entire road must be covered by a gigabit high-speed wireless network. There must be no dead zones for signal. With each requirement I stated, Liu Jianjun's face grew a shade paler. By the time I finished the last one, Liu Jianjun felt he wasn't just taking on a construction project, but listening to a madman describe his utopian fantasy. This isn't a village road. This is a test track for a city of the future. He looked at me, his lips trembling. Mr. Zijiao, 50 million might not be enough. If it's not enough, add more, I said, speaking casually. First, proceed with the design based on these standards. Money is not an issue. The issue is that I want to see results. Liu Jianjun fell silent. He recalled the miracle of 24-hour running water, the rumored bank balance of over 100 million, and remembered Chief Engineer Qian, who had been put in his place and slinked away earlier. He suddenly felt that his earlier thoughts were ridiculous. Trying to fathom Mr. Zhao with conventional thinking was inherently a mistake. A wave of passion surged through Liu Jianjun. He put away his phone and bowed deeply to me. Mr. Zhao, I understand. Don't worry, I'll go back to the company right away and give my solemn pledge. I'll bring the group's most elite road and bridge construction team. I'll invite the nation's top experts for you. Even if our company doesn't make a profit on this road, even if we lose money, we will definitely build a world-class model for you. The news spread, and the entire village was abuzz again. What? 50 million for a road? Oh my goodness. How much is 50 million? That could buy our whole village, couldn't it? It's not just building roads. Otherwise, what kind of smart road would it be? The road can even generate heat underneath, so it won't snow in winter. And there's internet. The whole road has internet. Later, we won't need mobile data to watch short videos on the road. The villagers' joy even surpassed the moment water became available. Water solves survival problems, but roads connect hope. An elderly man in his 50s at the village entrance, leaning on a polished wooden crutch, stared blankly at the dirt road. His name is Li Laogan. 10 years ago, on a rainy night, he was riding his motorcycle to town to buy medicine for his grandson. It was on this very road that he broke his leg, and has been disabled ever since. Listening to the discussions around him, his cloudy eyes slowly filled with tears. As he watched, he suddenly threw away his crutch and tremblingly knelt down, facing the direction of the village committee. Heaven has opened its eyes. Heaven has opened its eyes. He lay on the ground, his forehead pressed against the cold mud, his shoulders heaving violently. The cry suppressed for half a lifetime finally burst out. If this road can be built well, I could die in peace. The villagers behind him, watching this man who had been strong his whole life, crying like a child, also had red eyes. I stood at the second-floor window of the village committee, watching this scene. My phone vibrated. At the same time, a system sound rang out. Ding! Villager expectation detected. Happiness index reached peak value. I didn't watch any longer. I knew that after the road was built, the rebate multiplier would increase again. I just picked up the phone and dialed Liu Jianjun. Manager Liu, when can the construction team start? Liu Jianjun on the other end of the line sounded as excited as if he had just won the lottery. Mr. Zhao, don't worry. I've told the Design Institute to work 24/7. I guarantee a satisfactory plan within 3 days. However, the approval process. The people at the county's transportation bureau are slow to approve. It might take some time to grease a few palms. But don't worry. Liu Zhenjin changed his tone. I've already contacted our company's best construction team. The foreman's surname is Zhang. I told him to transport all the equipment there first, and to bring some materials for testing. In short, let's level the ground first. I'll handle the other materials. Even if I have to pester them, I'll get the permits for you. Okay, tell him to come directly. I hung up the phone. I looked out the window. At the scene of villagers spontaneously clearing the road, I felt that the 50 million yuan was well spent. The news that Shiwang village would spend 50 million yuan to build a future road spread within a day throughout Qingyuan County and even Yunzhou City's infrastructure circles. Some were amazed, some were envious, and naturally some were jealous. At the Qingyuan County Transportation Rural Road Construction Contracting Team's office, a middle-aged man with a beer belly and a pinky finger thick gold chain around his neck propped his feet on the office desk. He spit out the betel nut residue from his mouth.
His name is Ma Long.
He's the office director. In the industry, he's known as King Ma, the living bodhisattva that every road construction in Qingyuan County can't bypass. Any township road project has to offer incense to him first. Use the construction crew he appoints, and let him take a healthy cut. Otherwise, forget about subsidies. You won't even get the stamp for construction approval. 50 million Hope Village. Ma Long dug his little finger in his ear. A greedy and sinister grin appeared on his face. Damn, this isn't just road construction. This is like bricks of gold falling from the sky. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Hey, Ergu. Let's go collect rent at Hope Village. I wasn't greeted by old Zhang Li Zhanzhen's contractor, but instead a black Land Cruiser SUV showed up. That car was like a drunken wild bull, charging into Hope Village with a roar. Bang, the already shaky wooden door of the village committee was kicked open from the outside. Ma Long swaggered in with his hands behind his back. Two thuggish-looking young men followed him in. One had bleached blonde hair. The other had tattooed arms. Who's Xiao Ming? I sat on the chair. Didn't even change my posture. Just lazily lifted my eyelids. That's me. Ma Long grinned, walked up, and with a smack, threw a roughly printed contract onto the table in front of me. Heard you're building a road. You sure have money, huh? Kid. He spoke with the tone of an elder lecturing a youngster. But when it comes to building roads in Qingyuan County, there are rules. This project must be done by our appointed red hair construction crew. He waved 3 fat fingers in front of my face. And 30% of the total project cost is a management fee for the bureau. That's the usual practice. Understand? I picked up that so-called contract, slowly flipping through it. The blonde-haired guy leaned in and growled. Kid, Dragon Bro is talking to you. What are you looking at? Hurry up and sign. I ignored him, just kept reading the contract, then chuckled softly. Interesting. I turned the contract toward Ma Long. Director Ma, right? Article 3, Clause 1 of this contract. All project risks, including but not limited to natural disasters, market fluctuations, and delays caused by Party B's mood swings, shall be borne by Party A. Party B's mood swings? Am I hiring a god to do the construction here? Ma Long's expression stiffened for a moment. I slid my finger down. Article 5, Clause 2. Management fee percentage can be dynamically adjusted depending on Party A's cooperation. So if I'm nice, I get a 10% discount? You guys sure charge with a human touch. Damn, you trying to mess with us? The tattooed guy stepped forward, ready to fight. Ma Long raised his hand to stop him. The smile on his face was gone. Only cold menace remained. Kid, don't play games with me. I'm not here today to negotiate. I'm here to inform you. You better get with the program. I tossed that ridiculous contract back onto the table. The paper floated down to Ma Long's feet. I stood up and walked up to Ma Long. I'm building the road in my own village, with my own money. Pretty sure I don't need your approval. Take your people and your useless contract and get out. The air in the office instantly froze. The 2 thugs behind Ma Long were stunned. They'd followed Ma Long for years, and in all their time in Qingyuan County, had never seen anyone dare talk to Ma Long that way. Ma Long's face turned red right before our eyes.
He felt a surge of rage rush from his feet to his head.
So angry his whole body was shaking. Wow, you really told us to get lost. He was so mad he laughed with fury. Pointed right at my nose. You've got guts. You're the bossiest village chief I've ever met. He suddenly took a step back. His glare was so cold it was almost tangible. Listen up, Xiaoming. From now on, without my say-so, not a truckload of sand, not a pebble, can enter Hope Village. Let's see how. You make that 50 million into a road. Ma Long spat out those harsh words, then turned and left. The two thugs hurried after him. As they left, they shot me a hateful look, and the Land Cruiser roared, spinning out and speeding away, leaving only a cloud of exhaust behind. I sat back down in my chair, picked up my cup and took a sip of water. My heartbeat didn't even speed up the whole time. A blockade? No big deal. I was just thinking, should I call Lawyer Lin Wan right now and have him prepare the lawsuit documents? When my phone rang, it was an unknown number. Hello, is this President Zhao? It's old Zhang, the contractor introduced by Manager Liu. His voice sounded really anxious on the phone. What is it, old Zhang? President Zhao, there's a problem. My convoy just arrived at the edge of Qingyuan County, and we were stopped. Old Zhang's voice was full of helplessness and anger. They said we're overloaded and documents aren't complete. Even claimed our vehicle's emissions don't meet the standard. Damn, I'm driving brand new trucks. They're obviously just trying to keep us out. Now dozens of our trucks are stuck on the roadside. President Zhao, what do we do now? I listened to old Zhang's worried voice over the phone and just sneered. Fast move, huh? If these local tyrants put this drive to proper use, Qingyuan County would have achieved prosperity long ago, and everyone would be living well by now. A quick calculation ran through my mind. The equipment is the skeleton, especially those special engineering vehicles that Liu Jianjun helped bring in. Getting more would be a real hassle. Materials are like the flesh, but as long as you have money, you can get them shipped in from all over the country. Not to mention, what's here now is just part of the materials. So what if they take them? Old Zhang, unload all the materials right there. You guys drive the equipment into the village. President Zhao, just unload the materials. I'll take care of the rest. That afternoon, a dozen brand new excavators, rollers, and bulldozers made a loud entrance into the village, lining up at the designated site. The villagers erupted in thunderous cheers, thinking work on the road would begin soon. But 3 days went by, and those new, gleaming heavy machines were still lined up at the newly leveled site at the village entrance. Yet the work site was dead silent. No building materials, no workers. Only the mountain wind swept up dust, sending it clattering against cold metal tracks, making a rustling sound. This scene contrasted bitterly with the villagers' huge excitement 3 days before, making it all the more ironic. In the village office, Liu Jianjun was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Sweat beaded down his forehead. President Zhao, what do we do now? That Ma Long is like a local king in Qingyuan County. I pulled some strings at the provincial level to ask around. They said this person's network of connections is extremely tangled. Even the higher-ups want to deal with him. But for now, they really can't find a suitable point of entry. I sat in my chair, my fingers tapping rhythmically on the table. I didn't speak. I knew Liu Jianjun was telling the truth. This kind of local interest group is usually even more difficult to handle than you'd imagine. As I watched, the construction deadline was pushed back day after day. The atmosphere in the village changed too. At first, the villagers used to gather by the construction site, pointing and chatting, full of hope, discussing the future road ahead. Now, not a single person could be seen by the site. People's moods had shifted from anticipation to anxiety, and then to disappointment. This scene hit me hard inside. That cruelty of giving hope and then snuffing it out yourself is what I detest the most. Just then, that cold mechanical voice in my head carried a warning tone for the first time. Warning, popularity index showing a continuous slight decline. In front of my eyes, on the system interface only I could see, the green energy bar representing the villagers' confidence had not only stopped growing, but was even starting to slowly but surely recede. Warning, foundation of faith is starting to shake. If faith collapses, the seas, Thames functions will suffer permanent damage. I slowly clenched my fist. This was no longer just an obstacle to the project. It was a challenge to my authority. And even more, a heavy blow to the fragile confidence the villagers had just begun to build. I couldn't wait any longer. I didn't have time to maneuver and negotiate. I had to get the road built as soon as possible. I turned and went back to the empty, silent village committee office. I didn't contact Liu Jianjun again. Instead, I called my exclusive attorney, Lin Wan. After the last incident with Wang Dafu ended, I hired her directly to represent me exclusively. With an annual salary in the tens of millions, Lin Wan gladly accepted. After all, nobody would say no to money. She picked up quickly. The instruction was simple. If the road is blocked, then I'll use air transport. I don't care how much it costs or what means you use. Contact all heavy transport helicopters in the country you can reach. Within 3 hours, I want every piece of equipment and material for road construction. On the construction site of Hope Village, after hanging up, I walked out of the office. The village was dead quiet. Not even the dogs bothered to bark. The villagers who, just a couple of days ago, crowded around the construction site, were now all hiding in their rundown houses. Disappointment lingered in the air. Just then, a low humming sound came from behind the distant mountains. At first the sound was faint, like a bee fluttering its wings. But soon the hum grew louder and louder. Increasingly intense, the ground began to tremble lightly. Villagers started poking their heads out of their houses one by one. What's that noise? The hum turned into a roar, deafening. It was coming from over the mountain. A look of fear appeared on the villagers' faces. They ran out of their homes, looking up at the source of the sound. And then they saw, at the furthest edge of Hope Village's gray sky, a black dot appeared on the mountain ridgeline. Next came the second and third. Over a dozen massive helicopters formed a spectacular V formation, tearing through the clouds, flying over like they were blocking out the sun. Their fuselages were painted with all kinds of airline logos. Some even had no markings at all, fully coated in military green as heavy-duty helicopters. The villagers had never seen such a sight in their lives. Their mouths hung wide open, minds completely blank. What is that thing? They're helicopters, sure, but they're carrying something underneath. Yes, under every helicopter. A massive object was being lifted with thick steel cables, bundles tightly wrapped in blue tarps, sealed completely. Building materials rebar, steel formwork, concrete slabs, culvert pipes. I stood at the entrance of the village committee office, hands in my pockets, calmly watching this blockbuster burning money that I orchestrated myself. The appearance fee for this scene was anything but cheap. When Lin Wan, that woman, quoted the price, she didn't even bat an eye. She went straight to charging by the hour. But what a visual effect. The helicopter fleet arrived over Hope Village and didn't land. They started circling above the construction site, the huge rotors kicking up gale force winds, so strong people couldn't keep their eyes open. Then the airdrop began. A heavy transport helicopter slowly descended, its belly cable released precisely. A big bundle of rebar dropping with a dull whoosh, landing steadily at the designated spot on the site, with a heavy thud, shaking the very ground. Then came the second, then the third item. Tons of rebar, cement, and special asphalt, piled up like a game of Tetris, stacked precisely in different sections of the site. The whole process flowed smoothly, full of industrial brute force beauty. The villagers went from shock to dumbfounded. And then an emotion mixed with awe and frenzy erupted among the crowd. Oh my God, what on earth is happening? It's like gods, real gods. No one knows who shouted first. But then everyone went crazy. They started cheering, jumping up and down, releasing their pent-up feelings in the rawest way possible. Old Li stared blankly at the sky, watching as those supplies landed precisely on the muddy ground where he once broke his leg. His cane slipped from his grasp with a clatter. He shakily stood up, and with a thud dropped to his knees, not facing the sky, but toward the village committee office, toward the person standing at the entrance, that young man whose shadow stretched long. A lifetime's worth of suppressed sobs burst from his parched throat, gut-wrenching cries, crying his heart out, banging his head hard as he wept, his forehead quickly turning bloody. That kneeling motion was like pushing over the first domino. The villagers behind him watched in awe. unable to hold back anymore, dropping to their knees in a wave. A flood of cries and cheers echoed through the valley. Ding! Faith shift detected among villagers. Fame index exploding. Ding! Host completed milestone achievement. Divine Army descends. Achievement reward. Rebate multiplier permanently increased 50 times. As I listened to the prompt in my mind and watched the fanatic scene in front of me, I couldn't help but grin. This is just right. That's the effect you should get when you spend money. Meanwhile, Marlon is in his office with his legs crossed, sitting in his office, leisurely drinking this year's fresh Longjing tea. He's in a great mood. 3 days now he's been counting the time. That kid named Jiao Ming, by now, is probably getting drowned in the villagers' spit. With no materials, those dozen excavators are just a pile of scrap metal. Just as he picked up his teacup for another sip, the phone on his desk started vibrating like crazy. It was the guy he'd sent to monitor Hope Village. What's a go panicking for? Was the sky falling? Marlon impatiently answered the call, only to hear a go's terrified, trembling voice. Brother Long, no. It's bad, really bad. The sky is full of that stuff. Marlon frowned. What stuff? Helicopters. It's all helicopters. A go's voice was on the verge of tears. They're lifting excavators, lifting cement, dropping stuff into the village like dumplings. Ah, Brother Longby. They're not using the roads at all. They deliver straight from the air. Ah, faff. Marlon spat scorching hot tea all over the wall across from him. He froze completely. The expensive purple clay teapot in his hand crashed to the floor with a bang, smashing to pieces. What the hell did you just say? He roared into the phone, his voice cracking from shock. Helicopters? Are they friggin' crazy? Marlon felt like his worldview was being dragged through the mud, over and over again, using helicopters to transport sand and cement. What kind of insane logic comes up with this stuff? He hung up the call, grabbed his car keys and rushed out, slamming the accelerator to the floor. His black Land Cruiser roared in fury as he sped towards Hope Village. Meanwhile, Hope Village had already turned into a non-stop, 24-hour giant construction site. The helicopter fleet, like busy worker bees, had established an endless air supply line between the county's temporary depot and Hope Village. On the fully lit construction site, hundreds of workers worked rotation shifts, the roar of machinery echoing day and night. In the face of true superpowers, any obstacle seemed laughable. A brand new, high-tech road shining with futuristic glow was now stretching across this barren land, at a visibly accelerating pace, steadily and surely extending forward. Hope Village had never been this lively before. Over a dozen heavy helicopters in the same airspace, the dumpling-dropping spectacle was impossible to hide from the all-seeing eyes of netizens. No one knows which sharp-eyed hiker, with a trembling phone, captured this downright magical scene, adding dramatic background music and a few huge red headlines. Shocking. Mysterious. Rich man airdrops excavators. Real-life godly construction. Overnight, this short video shot to the top of trending lists on all major platforms. The comments section was an all-out frenzy. Damn, is this a movie set or what? That's my billionaire village chief right there. Dad, village chief, do you still need a son? I've been to college, and I know how to use Excel. This isn't even just a superpower anymore. This is doomsday-level ability. Even the king of hell would have to show respect after seeing this. Scrolling through my phone looking at these goofy comments, I couldn't hide my smirk anymore. In the internet age, the thing in shortest supply is, it's this kind of absolutely unpredictable, explosive hot topic. My phone is practically blowing up. First it was Liu Jianjun. The voice on the other end of the line was insanely excited. President Zhao is trending. We're going viral. Everyone online is asking where our village is. Right after that, it was Lin Wan. His voice was as calm as always, but there was a barely noticeable excitement in it. President Zhao public opinion is a double-edged sword. Right now, we have the initiative. I suggest we package this incident as a one-time event. I hadn't even processed Lin Wan's suggestion yet when I heard the roar of car engines at the village entrance. Not just one car, but a long line. provincial TV station. Interview vans from Yonjo Newsweekly and major websites. Like sharks smelling blood, they rushed in, one after another, to this impoverished village that's barely on the map. Reporters carrying huge cameras started scrambling to interview people the moment they got out of the car. The whole village was chaotic, like a farmer's market on grand opening day. "Excuse me, where is your village chief? We heard your village chief spent tens of millions to build roads. Is it true? Used a helicopter to deliver cement. Whose idea was it?" Seeing this scene, only one thought popped into my mind. Lin Wan's predictions are even more accurate than the weather report. I didn't hide. With Lin Wan's remote guidance, I had the village officials keep most of the reporters outside and only accepted the exclusive interview from Li Mei, the chief female reporter from the provincial TV station. In front of the camera, Li Mei was perfectly made up, and her questions were sharp. "Village Chief Zhao, there are mixed opinions online about your actions. Some say you're a generous benefactor doing real things for the people. Others accuse you of showing off with your money, chasing clout. What's your take on this?" I felt no waves in my heart. Show off? I was just spending money plainly and simply, and earning some system rebates on the side. But on my face, I let a trace of helplessness and bitterness show at just the right moment. "Reporter Lee, do you think if there was a normal road to take, who would willingly spend several times, or even dozens of times, more, to take a road in the sky?" My voice was calm, but it was like a stone dropped into a still lake. "We are not showing off. We're trying to save ourselves." A desperate self-rescue in the face of hopelessness. I started to lay out in detail the plight of remote mountain villages, facing the last mile in their development. I didn't call anyone out by name, but I described those invisible barriers and the unspoken rules of not doing anything without a bribe. In vivid detail, when road construction applications vanished without a trace, when the trucks bringing building materials were blocked outside the village, when villagers' hopes of escaping poverty were crushed again and again. What could we do? I looked into the camera with honest, sincere eyes. I'm just a village chief. What I can do is use my own way to pave a path for my villagers to survive, even if that road comes from the sky. With these words, I took my own superhuman actions and elevated them to the voice of all grassroots people. Li Mei obviously hadn't expected that answer. She froze. But the interview didn't end there. Li Mei's team turned the camera to the villagers watching the scene. At first, the villagers were a bit shy in front of the camera. But when asked about the old muddy road, everyone's emotions simply broke down. A middle-aged man faces the camera, tearfully accusing how his child had a high fever. But because the road was too bad, his motorcycle got stuck in the mud, almost delaying the child's treatment. A young wife cries as she says that her husband, who works away from home, doesn't dare come back more than a few times a year. All because of that road. Finally, the camera moves to Li Logan. He's leaning on a cane, his cloudy eyes shining brightly. "I only know, whoever gives us food, whoever brings us hope, that person is our real family. Even if Village Chief Xiao poked a hole in the sky, he's the one who gave us a ladder. We trust him." These plain and sincere words were broadcast to thousands of households by TV signal. On the very night the interview aired, something dramatic happened. The city government's official website released a report overnight. Ma Long is under investigation for serious violations and crimes, and is being reviewed by the disciplinary and supervisory committees. When the news came, I was at the village committee office, looking at the new products unlocked in the system shop. Lin Wan called me. For once, there was a hint of a smile in her voice. "Zhao Ma Long is down. None of his people can get away." Our evidence was key, but what really did him in was public opinion. The whole internet is talking about it. How Hope Village was being choked by a local tyrant. The provincial government stepped in directly. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the brightly lit construction site outside the window. Also, Lin Wan added, the city has approved all the paperwork for the Hope Village Smart Road project. The province even issued a special directive to make this road a demonstration project for rural revitalization and promote it across the province. Chief Engineer Qian also wrote a self-criticism and proactively applied for early retirement. I responded with a sound and didn't say anything more. After hanging up the phone, I walked out of the village committee office. The construction site was brightly lit. The roar of machines didn't stop day or night. That 10-kilometer smart road was more than halfway done. The black pavement gleamed under the moonlight, shining faintly. Rows of solar streetlights lit up along the road, like two golden ribbons, stretching from the entrance of the village to the other side of the mountain. Villagers took the initiative to set up tents by the site, bringing water and food to the workers. Li Laogin, on his new cane, sat at the village entrance every day, watching the road stretch farther bit by bit, the smile on his face brighter than the sun. I stood at the village entrance, taking a deep breath. The air no longer smelled of dirt and pollution, but was fresh and slightly sweet with moisture. Ding, the system prompt sounded again. But this time, it wasn't the cold mechanical voice, but a solemn echo. Congratulations, host. Hope Village has completed remembering where water comes from, heaven sent help, and winning the people's hearts, 3 major milestones. Your current fame index is 97. Total spending, 62 million yuan. Total cashback, 9.3 billion yuan. Current account balance, 1,023.8 million yuan. 10.2 billion. I looked at the number, felt nothing inside. To me, it's really just a number. Detected. Host has completed phase 1 of rural revitalization. Ultimate access to the system shop has been unlocked. New products are now available. Entry-level agricultural carrier can cruise on man-made waters, can fully automate seeding, fertilizing, and harvesting for thousands of acres. Price, 500 million yuan. Would you like to purchase? I was stunned. Agricultural carrier. I clicked to view product details. A massive 3D model popped up. It wasn't a military weapon, but a giant, silver-white, streamlined agricultural operations platform, capable of floating and traveling on artificial waters, using telescopic arms to cover and work thousands of acres nearby. Planting, fertilizing, irrigating, harvesting. All fully automated. Zero labor. I checked the price. 500 million. Looked at my account balance again. 10.2 billion. I laughed. That's just pocket change. Purchase confirmed. My finger hovered over the screen. Behind me came the villagers' laughter and happy chatter. The streetlights along the smart road lit up one by one in the distance, one after another, like an avenue of starlight leading to the future. I glanced back at this village that was once dirt poor, now thriving with vitality. Ding, purchase successful. Entry-level agricultural carrier added to construction list. Estimated construction time, 30 days. In the month that followed, Hope Village became a construction site again. But unlike before, this time it wasn't for a road, but to build a giant machine on the leveled land at the east end of the village. A colossal piece of equipment. When Liu Jianjun first saw the blueprints, he was completely stunned. Chief Xia, what is this? An agricultural carrier. I answered blandly. Agricultural carrier. He repeated the words, feeling his understanding of the world had been appended again. All right then. On the blueprint, that giant silver platform is 200 meters long, 80 meters wide, made entirely of high-strength, lightweight alloy. It doesn't need a real ocean, just an artificial reservoir, with 3-meter depth and 500-acre area, to float on. Below the platform is an intelligent water circulation system, and on top is a fully automated agricultural operations module. Seeding, fertilizing, irrigating, and harvesting all remotely controlled, with no human intervention. Can this thing really be built? Liu Jianjun's voice was trembling. As long as the money's there, there's nothing that can't be built. I patted him on the shoulder. This round, the budget is 500 million. Liu Jianjun almost lost his balance. 30 days later, when that silver giant platform slowly floated up from the artificial reservoir, the whole Hope Village was buzzing again. It was like a silver island floating on the water, glimmering in the sunlight. On the platform deck, rows of robotic arms stood lined up, ready to begin work at any moment. Villagers gathered by the reservoir, staring up at this monster they couldn't even imagine in their wildest dreams, mouths wide enough to fit a chicken egg. This is ours, said Village Chief Xiao. It's called an agricultural carrier. Oh my god, a carrier! Our village has a carrier now. Li Laogin stood at the very front with his new cane, gazing up at the silver giant. Sunlight and water reflected in his cloudy eyes. His lips trembled. It took him a while to say anything. Finally, he just murmured one phrase over and over. Worth it. This life was worth it. Entry-level agricultural carrier construction complete. New achievement voyage to the stars and seas unlocked. System prompt, rural revitalization has no endpoint. Only new beginnings. Host, are you ready? I stood on the deck of the carrier, looking down at Hope Village below. The smart road wound out of the mountains like a black ribbon. Brand new houses scattered about with perfect layout. Clear tap water flows into every home.
And now?
Another silver aircraft carrier is floating on the water. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Linwan. Zhao, there was a call from the provincial authorities. They said, Hope Village will be made a super demonstration zone for rural revitalization. It will be promoted nationwide. Provincial leaders will come for an inspection next week. I replied with a single word, okay. Another message came from Liu Jianjun. Zhao, I'm sticking with you for life. So what's the next project? I looked up. I gazed at the undeveloped mountaintop in the distance. That will be phase 1 of the Smart Agriculture Park. With this agricultural carrier, sowing, fertilizing, and harvesting for thousands of acres of farmland will all be automated. Crop yields are expected to increase by more than 3 times. I opened the system shop. I glanced at the ultimate permissions and those items that have yet to be unlocked. Intelligent greenhouse drones, deep processing production lines for agricultural products. Every single one requires real money to invest. But it's fine. The string of zeros behind my balance is long enough. I put away my phone. I walked toward the edge of the deck. Villagers below saw my silhouette. An earth-shattering cheer erupted. Village Chief Zhao, Village Chief Zhao, Village Chief Zhao. Their voices surged like a flood, echoing in the valley. Suddenly, I remembered the day the system was activated. My celebrity index was only 5. The villagers thought I was useless. Still, at least I was better than 100 million people. Now my celebrity index is at 97. Just 3 points from perfect. I smiled, waved to the people below. The cheers rose another octave. The sun set in the west. Golden light shone on the silver-white carrier. It shone on the black smart road. It shone on every smiling face. I sat at the edge of the carrier deck. My legs dangled in the air. I looked down at the land ignited by hope. There's still a lot to do tomorrow. The Smart Agriculture Park hasn't started construction. The deep processing production line hasn't been introduced. The villagers' new homes haven't begun construction. But today, let me first enjoy a good dream in this village that's been poor for half a lifetime. On this one-of-a-kind agricultural carrier in the world, let me have a good dream. System notification. Celebrity index has reached 97. Only 3 points from a perfect score. Host, please keep working hard. The story of Hope Village has just begun.